Welcome to the Dark Jottercast with L. Bachman. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about my book series. It is called the Blasphemer Series, and if you've been following me on social media for some time, you know that I am a writer, and I've been working on this series. Development of the characters began when I was young, and it came into its fullness when I began working in the publishing industry. The journey of writing this series is actually the journey of me writing, and I want to dig into that a little bit deeper. The character Dante Angelov that appears in book 2, called Harvest of the series, this character is special to me because in my youth, before I decided to start getting really into writing, I actually did literary role-playing. And he was the first character I developed that was just my own. I would play other characters or play other character parts that other people wanted me to play because we were missing one or something, and I just fill in. But Dante is the first of my own creation. In his original form, he was just a struggling and tormented artist that painted such controversial paintings and art pieces that led him to become famous, only to discover that his biggest fan, his biggest collector of his work, was actually a vampire. Dante, in his today form, and what you would find him in is the series, is he's still a struggling painter, but he's also more like an anti-hero, being plunged into a world that is way bigger than he ever thought. The vampire collector actually became another character in the series called Hannibal. Upon the death of Dante's grandfather, Thomas, Hannibal goes and he retrieves the artist, and the series begins with those characters there, but the book series itself starts with Maxwell Demon. It serves as the first installment and a prequel book to set up why the rest of the series happens. In Maxwell, you follow a fallen angel on a mission to save the love of his eternity. The events that unfold explain the rest of the series and why the characters are going through what they're going through. As I do this podcast, I'm currently still working on the third installment called Ghosts, but I am almost finished with it. But I wanted to focus on this video and on this book as an all-together creation. When I say that the series is my writing journey, it is true. I began developing characters early, honing my skills, and I grew up writing here and there. As I got older, it faded. It was a coping mechanism for me. But as I got older, had a kid, got married, I still had that drive that had to write. Even if I never published anything, I still had to do it. It didn't matter what I was going through. I had to get it out. Characters like Dante were not new, but some will not make it into this series. For example, Sophia is in the Blasphemer series, but she was a roughly developed character in another story. But with some rounding and polishing, she became one of my favorite characters to write. A kind-hearted older lady that didn't take anything from anyone. She is a real survivalist type of woman. She had traits that I admired in some of the women that I knew in my life, and she is the kind of woman that I wanted to be when I grew up. She had so much knowledge, and she was so self-reliant, and she was so independent. The woman that I wanted to grow up to be, even before she had a name. To date, Sophia's journey in the series is one of the ones I've been emailed or messaged about the most. Readers love her, and I love her. When I got into the writing industry, I started out as a graphic artist, which is another skill I would use as a coping mechanism when I was younger, and it helps currently when I don't have the words to describe the scene that is in my head. With encouragement, I began writing again, and after a month, I actually finished Maxwell Demon. The series was launched, but as a noted slow writer, I am still plugging along, continuing the work. But it really set a point for me. I began writing a lot of things while never forgetting the series. I haven't forgotten. I have stories that could fill an ebook to the brim. I just have to get them written. On a show called In Progress with Julia, I shared some tidbits of my chaotic writing process with doodlings and side notes in the margins. I showed these things. I have tried to be more serious, whatever that means, when it comes to my office. I wanted to organize. I wanted to be not a messy writer, but I have found that stifles my creativity, and I am a hardcore planter, so it just doesn't work. I can put my mind to it, but it usually won't work. Before I know it, I have piles of notebooks and piles of doodles and lots of notes and filled notebooks on my desk in my way. If you've liked this episode, let me know in the comments or leave a like. If you have a suggestion for a show or a topic, or you have questions, let me know as well, and I will get to those when I can. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.